Hi, so today is January 1st, 2023, and I just wanted to get on. And first of all, I am in my lounge gear. I'm wearing my Star Wars jammies, got my hot cocoa over here. Not much of a coffee drinker. Sorry if that disappoints anyone. I'm a tea and hot chocolate drinker, right? But yeah, I just wanted to get on today. Especially for my singles out there, because this time of year, mess myself up. This time of year, from pretty much from Thanksgiving through February, really, Valentine's Day could be a really, really, really difficult time of year for a lot of people because. It's just a season. It's a season of a lot of great things, a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, a lot of being around the people you love. But it's also a season of a lot of expectation, right? And hope and worry for a lot of people, right? Especially if you're not surrounded by a lot of people in your life. In particular, when it comes to expectation, is being January 1st with setting resolutions, and then going into the Valentine's Day season. But I do want to focus on today the idea of setting resolutions, right? And I just wanted to remind everyone that as long as you're doing as long as you know that you're doing the best you can, you're doing all right. That's all we can really do is the best that we can, right? When it comes to setting resolutions, and I'm not one of those people that, I know that some people have gotten kind of anti-resolution as of late. They're going, just because it's January 1st, you can start a goal at any time, and this, that, and the other, which is true. But you could also set one on January 1st, so why not? I'm not anti-resolution, but I do know that there's kind of an extra sense of urgency around the first of the year, right? When it comes to setting resolutions and being really, really hard on ourselves when we don't meet those resolutions, right? But what I do want everyone to understand is that, we are the ones who are in charge of our world, right? No one else is, just you. And when it comes to setting resolutions, setting goals for ourselves, we have to keep in mind that we need to be kind to ourselves when doing these things, right? And I know for me, when it comes to setting goals, I take I don't take a very common approach to goals anymore, only because I have a track record of either completely blowing up my goal or blowing up my goal, which for me means I'll set a goal and think that it'll take a while to get to that goal, and then I'll crush it pretty quickly. Or I'll set a goal thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna destroy this in very soon, and then it just doesn't happen. And then I end up just saying, you know what, forget it. This isn't going to happen for me. One good example of me, reaching a goal pretty quickly was several years ago. I believe it was 2017. Was it 2017 or 2016? 2017, beginning 2017, where I lost my job. I actually lost it on, I think it was January 2nd of that year. They let me go at the very beginning of the year, right? And so with all this extra free time I had, I made the goal to become an elite athlete and trying to make my way to the Olympics, right? And so I didn't actually get to the Olympics, but within 6 months' time, I did make it to the Olympic Center. And I ended up doing that twice. I've trained at the Olympic Center twice, right? And so that was a goal that, you make a goal, you tell people that, especially at my age at the time. I was in my late 20s at the time. So it was quite a ways past elite age for a lot of sports, right? And so when I set that goal for myself, I said, maybe I can just be, I do want to be really, really good. And so, I kind of went back and forth with myself mentally on, what I wanted to do with that goal until I really locked in and said, no, this is what I want to do. I want to be in the Olympics, right? And so what ended up happening is I made it a priority to do one small thing every day. And it wasn't, for me at the time, it wasn't like this big, lofty thing. It was just literally, this goal is daunting. It's scary for me, but I need to make sure that I'm at least doing something towards it so I can say I'm doing something, right? And looking back, and just remembering a lot of the interviews I did at that time and whatnot, and people ask, well, how did you actually do this? And they would always start out with like, oh yeah, so you must have gotten, this expensive coach and, the training facilities and this, that, and the other. And yeah, I ended up having a coach and, having training facilities that I trained in and things like that. But the very first thing I did was just buy a planner, right? Which was one of the best things I could have done for myself. Because I am someone who, really needs a push when it comes to staying organized and staying on task sometimes. It can be kind of difficult for me. So the first thing I did was just buy a planner. That's how I stayed on task, right? But then there's been other goals too where I thought that they were going to be easy, and, they ended up being really, really hard to the point where I said, I'm not doing that anymore. So I've gotten to a point now, even now, like I tell myself, I have aspirations. I know where I want to get, but I don't hold myself to any particular part of that journey. In fact, like, when people say like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 5-year goal? And I say, well, I know I want to be this person and that person, but I'm not really holding myself to timelines anymore because life happens. Life has peaks and valleys. Life can get really, really weird. Really, really weird on you. And so, I've learned not to do that. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but that's just how, I personally look at things now. Is just my personal goal for myself is to do, a little thing every day. And that's also how I want you to approach doing resolutions during this time, right? To not overwhelm yourself with expectations around being lonely, being single at this time, right? Because I used to be really, really, really hard on myself about that. It was like, I felt like it was just, remember them sock and boppers in the 90s? I'm a 90s kid, so it just felt like I was always getting punched around. It was like, okay, it's one thing where, people are constantly questioning me about status as a single, and now it's January, and I feel like even I need to get some things accomplished even more, as I was getting older. When I turned 25 and then again when I turned 30, it was really like, oh, I really need to get these things done, right? But I want you to approach everything like this. And it kind of does go into the philosophy that a lot of the anti kind of January resolution people are, even though I'm not, right? And that is the idea that you can set resolutions at any time, right? It doesn't have to be January 1st always. In fact, you can set a resolution at any day of the year. You can set a monthly resolution. You can set a January 1st, February 1st, March 1st resolution, right? You can set a weekly resolution for yourself. You set a daily resolution, like what I was saying, the one small thing every day was essentially me setting daily resolutions for myself, right? You could set, I was about to be silly, but like you said minutes and second resolutions. No, but you could set goals for yourself at any time. You can start over at any time, right? There's no rule that says that you're ever done with a goal, right? Even if, let's say that you made it a goal to, I don't know, lose weight in 3 months. You get to 3 month mark, you actually gain 5 pounds. Well, guess what? Time didn't stop happening, right? It may be March 31st, but you can set another resolution for April 1st and keep at it, right? There's no rule that says you can't do that. We're always a work in progress. And I just wanted to remind everyone that when it comes to goal setting, task setting, when it comes to doing anything in particular, you always have time to, I don't necessarily say do better, but there's always time for change, right? And so I don't want you to get discouraged at this time. When you see a lot of people, really crushing their goals, a lot of people are reaching, lifetime milestones. I watch so many people online. There's so many engagements and birth announcements, and it's all very, very great, right? But don't let it weigh down on you, right? And so, for me, like when I talked about in years past, I used to get really upset because there was this building I lived in. I used to live in kind of like a warehouse type building. And across from it was this building where it was pretty much like all glass, right? And so I would get pretty sad because during Christmas time, you can see everyone with their trees and their families and everything. And at the time, I was in a lot of singles ministries, and they made it being single was considered a really, really much bigger deal than it should have been, right? Because they would preach that, you're not whole without a spouse and things like that. So I was really feeling like I was just this person who's broken in shards. And now the way my window is facing my living room, I'm seeing the manifestation of what my life should be, but there's something wrong with me because it's not that way, right? And so there's a lot that goes into it, right? But I realize now that I literally couldn't be paired or partnered at that time because there was just too much I still had to learn about myself and how much I had to learn about being, a good partner for someone, right? And there was so much that I've learned throughout the years, and it's one of those things where it was I don't want to call it a silent goal for myself, but I have always wanted to do things well, right? And I see it as a way of God was protecting me, because as much as I did want a family and to be married and this, that, and the other, at the same time, I also wanted to marry well. I wanted to be good to the family that I had. I wanted to do the best that I could, right? And so even though it wasn't a goal that was necessarily in the forefront of my mind, and being made to, I don't want to say wait, but being made to not have that goal kind of manifest in itself was a huge, huge, huge blessing for me. Huge blessing, right? Because of how much I needed to still grow and learn. And it even got to a point where I grew and learned so much. That's how I became a love and relationships and mindset coach as well, because of the things I learned. Because not only did I get a chance to grow and learn for myself, but now I'm in a position to help others grow and learn too, right? Because a lot of this stuff I wouldn't be able to get or even fathom had it not been for that time that I thought was time wasted, time feeling undesired, time just feeling really self-conscious, and really kind of loathing the holiday season and January coming around and February coming around, right? I needed to experience that in order to fulfill goals that I didn't even know I had yet, right? Because now I'm looking back, I'm like, oh man, there's so much, there's such a wealth of knowledge that I know now going forward. And plus with the benefit of just being wiser in knowing more about the subject, right? So I say all this to say, again, don't forget to be kind to yourself when it comes to your goals and aspirations and where you may not think that you are yet in life, right? Because perception is way different than reality, right? And we don't know, we don't know where God is. We don't know where God is kind of leading our lives, right? Even if we know of our purpose, because I know a lot of people don't. But even if you know it, we still don't always know what the specific path to it is, right? We may know what it is, but we don't really necessarily know how we're going to get there. And maybe like, man, how am I going to get there? And then when we see how we got there, and it's just like, oh, so I see how that situation was painful, and that situation was painful, and that one was really painful. That one was a hot mess right there, right? But we may see how it got us to the point that we are today, right? And that's not even to point out like the bad things. I know a lot of times people point out bad things, even like good things that happened, right? Because I've had some good situations too that panned out. But even taking those too, I see how, okay, that was something that was necessary for me to experience in order for me to get to greater, right? So I just want you all to keep that in mind going forward. You can always make resolution at any time. You can change your resolution. You can pivot. You can decide that a resolution isn't for you. You can choose an arbitrary day to make a new resolution. Maybe you're going to make a resolution on June 23rd. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that even though time is our greatest resource, our most precious resource, and we lose it so quickly, at the same time, we still have so much time still available for us, right? Time is of the essence. And with that in mind, that means that you could always, start back at square one at any time if you need to, right? At no point in time are you just, I don't say not out of time, because we everyone will leave this earth eventually, right? But for the most part, the majority of us, those watching, myself and everything, you see kind of all the ways that you still have the ability to pivot and move as you see fit, right? All right, so that is all I have for today. I need to drink this before it's still nice and warm. It's still pretty warm, guys. And see how my marshmallows are? They're still here. Yeah, so I just wanted to come on and give my January 1st encouragement to all of you out there, and again particularly my singles, because it is it is very difficult out here when you're doing things all by yourself, and it feels like nobody sees you. You don't have people speaking into you the way that you need to, right? There's a void, a partner-sized void. Even if you have your friends, a lot of times, sometimes that's not quite, I don't say not quite enough, but there's a difference, and it's hard to kind of articulate that to people if they haven't understood what it's like to be a lifelong single, or a single for a long time, or a single who doesn't really have a support system. It can be kind of hard to jumpstart yourself, right? Because as much as we talk about pouring into yourself and self-love and all that, that's all great, but also that's something that oftentimes takes work, right? It takes work to do that. Once you get into the groove of things, it's pretty great, when it comes to having self-love for yourself, but you do need to get to that point first, right? And sometimes that doesn't always feel the best. So I just want to encourage everyone watching when it comes to your goals and shifting your mindset, that you have time, you can do it. If you need help, feel free to reach out to me. Because one of the things, like I said, I have a knack for really shifting my mindset when it comes to things. I have a knack for really evaluating situations and kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, this is how I should tackle this situation. And that's what's led to me, really living well as a single person too. So if you have any issues, concerns, anything like that in those areas, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my links below for you to reach out to me. So have a very happy new year. Have a happy rest of your day, rest of your week, rest of your month, all that and above. And so I will be back soon with some more, with some more tidbits. Please feel free to send me questions as well. I like questions. You can write them below, or anything like that. Or I shouldn't say anything like that. Yeah, write them below because I do read the comments. But yeah, so that's all I have for today.